Konnichiwa, Bonjour, Rivière, Ni hao, Kalimera, Jumbo。
大家好，欢迎来到 PUPU HOUSE Story Time。今天要和大家分享的故事是由获奖无数的美国作家 Steig 于1969年的作品 Sylvester and the Magic Pebble 驢小弟变石头。这是一个感人至深，能够叫人回味许久的故事，和您一同分享。Sylvester and the Magic Pebble 驢小弟变石头。Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Akron Road in Austell. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color.驢小弟跟爸爸妈妈住在燕麦谷的松果路，他有一个嗜好，就是搜集形状和颜色都很特别的小石头。On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one.It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round, like a marble. 在一个下雨的礼拜六，他找到了一颗非常特别的小石头。这颗小石头红得像火，闪闪发亮，圆溜溜的，就像弹珠一样。As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver.Probably from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. I wish it would stop raining, he said. 也许是他太兴奋的缘故吧。当小驴子在端详这颗小石头的时候，竟然全身都颤抖了起来，而且落到背上的雨水也让他觉得凉飕飕的。他心里就想说，真希望不要再下雨了。To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't stop gradually as rains usually do. It ceased. 结果呢，雨真的停了，他大吃一惊。这雨不像平常那样是渐渐慢慢的停下来，而是突然就停了。The drops vanished on the way down. The clouds disappeared.Everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if rain had never existed. 雨点还没有落在地上就不见了，乌云也消失了，每样东西都是干的，连太阳都闪着耀眼的光芒，就好像根本没有下过雨一样。In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble, where indeed it was. 在驢小弟短短的一生当中，从来没有一个愿望这么快就实现过。他突然觉得这一定是魔法。而且一定是这一颗特别的红色的小石头所造成的。事实上也是这样。To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground and said, I wish it would rain again. Nothing happened. But when he said the same thing holding the pebble in his hoof, the sky turned black. There was lightning.And a clap of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. 于是呢，为了要看看他的想法对不对，他就把这个小石头放在地上，然后说：“我希望在下雨。”结果什么都没有发生。可是当驢小弟用他的蹄子拿着小石头 说同样的话，天就变黑了，闪电和打雷就来咯，大雨也下了起来。What a lucky day this is, thought Sylvester. From now on, I can have anything I want. My father and mother can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, and anybody at all can have everything anybody wants.驢小弟就想说，天哪，今天真的是太幸运了吧，从今以后我要什么就可以有什么了，爸爸妈妈也可以要什么就有什么，我的亲戚朋友以及所有的人都可以想要什么就有什么了。He wished the sunshine back in the sky, and he wished a word of his left hind fetlock would disappear, and it did.And he started home, eager to amaze his father and mother with his magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. 驢小弟希望太阳再从天空出现，希望他左后方脚蹄上面一个油可以消失，结果真的都实现了。他开始走路回家去，急着要用这颗神奇的小石头让爸爸妈妈惊喜一下。他巴不得马上就看到他们的表情，也许一开始他们根本就不会相信他的话嘞。As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of some of the many things he could wish for, he was startled to see the mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind some tall grass. 就在驢小弟走过草莓山，心里想着好多的愿望都可以实现的时候，竟然碰见了一只狮子。那只狮子既狡诈又饥饿，正在一堆高高的牧草后面瞪着他。He was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made a lion disappear, or he could have wished himself safe at home with his father and mother. 驢小弟吓坏了。要是他没有被吓坏的话，他就可以想到要让这一头狮子消失，或者是赶快许愿自己可以平安在家，跟爸爸妈妈在一起。He could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked and couldn't think carefully. 驢小弟可以赶快希望狮子变成一只蝴蝶、小菊花或者是小昆虫，他可以想到好多的办法来对付这只狮子，可是因为他吓坏了，吓得没有办法仔细去想。I wish I were a rock, he said, and he became a rock. 我希望我变成石头。驢小弟话一说完，就变成了一块岩石。The lion came bounding over, sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around it, and went away, confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. I saw that little donkey as clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy, he muttered. 狮子跳过了岩石，对着它闻了100遍，绕着它走了一圈又一圈，最后迷迷糊糊的带着一肚子的疑惑走开了。奇怪，我明明看见那只小驴子的，也许是我饿疯了吧？狮子喃喃自语地说。And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with a magic pebble lying right beside him on the ground, and he was unable to pick it up. Oh, how I wish I were myself again, he thought, but nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. 变成岩石的驢小弟就这样待在草莓山上，那颗神奇的小石头还在他的旁边，但是因为他没有手，没有办法去拿。我好希望再变成我自己哦，他心里想，但是没有用，他必须要碰到那颗小石头才可以产生魔法，但是他根本没有办法做到。His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried, being helpless and felt hopeless. He imagined all the possibilities and eventually he realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and to wish that the rock next to it would be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny, but what on earth?would make them wish that the rock was a donkey. The chance was 1 in a billion at best. 他开始拼命地想，心里好害怕又着急，没有人可以帮助他，他一点希望都没有了。驢小弟想了好多的办法，最后他终于明白了，他唯一的机会就是有人可以发现这一颗红色的小石头，而且许愿，希望小石头旁边的这一颗岩石是一只驴子。当然了，一定会有人可以找到这颗红石头的，因为它是这么的闪亮耀眼。可是这世界上怎么可能会有人会希望一块岩石变成驴子呢？这个机会根本就是10亿分之一。Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came with many stars. 最后，驢小弟就睡着了。他不睡又能怎样呢？随着星星的出现，夜晚来临了。Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? 这个时候，驴爸爸和驴妈妈在家里走来走去，急得要发疯了。驴小弟从来没有到了晚餐的时间还没有回家的，他到底去哪里了啊？They stayed up all night, wondering what had happened, expecting that Sylvester would surely turn up by morning, but he didn't, of course. 他们整夜都没有睡，担心驴小弟会出了什么事，希望他能够在早晨之前能够回家，可是这个希望当然是落空了。Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her.Both longed to have their dear son with them. I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live, said Mrs. Duncan, no matter what he does. 驴妈妈哭得好伤心哦，驴爸爸在一旁安慰她。他们两个都好希望他们的宝贝儿子可以回来和他们在一起。驴妈妈伤心地说，以后不管他做了什么事，我再也不会责备他了，也不会说他的。At dawn, they went about inquiring of all the neighbors. 天亮了，他们到处向邻居去打听。They talked to all the children.The puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. 他们也问了所有的孩子，包括了小狗、猫咪、小马和猪宝宝。但是这些孩子从前天起就没有再见过驴小弟了。They went to the police.The police could not find their child. 他们也去找了警察，但是警察也没有办法找到他们的孩子。 All the dogs in Austell went searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass, into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found not a scent of him. 燕麦谷的狗全部都出来帮忙搜寻，他们闻过了每一块岩石、每一棵树，还有每一片草。搜过了远近每一个角落和溪谷，可是一点线索都找不到。They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester. 他们也闻了草莓山上那块岩石，可是那个气味就跟一般的岩石一样，一点都不像驢小弟的味道。After a month of searching the same places over and over again, and inquiring of the same animals over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. 同一个地方搜了一遍又一遍，同一只动物问了一次又一次，就这样过了1个月。驢爸爸和驢妈妈不知道还有什么办法可想了。They concluded that something dreadful must have happened and that they would probably never see their son again. 他们认为一定有什么可怕的事情发生了在他们儿子的身上，他们可能再也见不到儿子了。They tried their best to be happy, to go about their usual ways.But their usual ways included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. 他们尽量想让自己快乐起来，尽量想要过得就和平常一样，但是平常的生活里总是包括了驢小弟，所以他们总是会想到他。他们超级难过，觉得这样的生活下去一点意义都没有。Night followed day, and day followed night, over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up thus and thus often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy. 晚上过了又是白天，白天过了又是晚上。驢小弟在山上醒着的时候越来越少了，因为他醒的时候只有不快乐和失望。He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with the leaves changing color.Then the leaves fell, and the grass bent to the ground. 他觉得他会永远就这样变成一个岩石。他想要习惯这件事，于是他睡得都不想醒了。天气渐渐变凉，秋天来了，树叶都变了颜色，然后树叶掉了，牧草也弯到了地面。Then it was winter. The winds blew this way and that. It snowed. Mostly the animals stayed indoors, living on the food they had stored up. 然后冬天来了，风刮过来又刮过去，接着就下雪了。大多数的动物都躲在家里，靠着它们储存的食物过冬。One day, a wolf sat on the rock that was Sylvester and howled because he was hungry. 有一天，有一只狼坐在了驢小弟变成的那块岩石上，饥饿的一遍又一遍地嚎叫着。Then the snows melted. The earth warmed up in the spring sun and things budded. 然后雪融化了，在春天的阳光下，大地又暖和了起来，花草树木也都发芽了。Leaves were on the trees again. Flowers showed their young faces. 树又长出了叶子，花儿也露出了它们稚嫩的脸庞。One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic. Let's cheer up, he said. Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us. They went to Strawberry Hill. 5月里有一天，驴爸爸一定要驴妈妈跟着他出去野餐。我们要打起精神来，他说。虽然我们的宝贝儿子不在了，我们还是要像从前一样好好的过下去。于是他们就到了草莓山上。Mrs. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester, I'm right here!"But he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was stone dumb. 驴妈妈就坐在那一颗岩石上，她温暖的体温弄醒了正在冬眠的驴小弟。他真的很想大叫：“妈，爸，是我啦！我是你们的小宝，我就在这里。”但是驴小弟不能说话，也没有办法发出声音，就像石头一样，说不出一句话。Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about, while Mrs. Duncan set out the picnic food on the rock. Alfalfa sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timothy compote. 驴爸爸没有目的的四处走来走去，驴妈妈把野餐摆在了岩石上。他们的野餐有紫花木素三明治、醋腌燕麦、黄章沙拉，还有牧草蜜饯。Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. What a fantastic pebble! He exclaimed. Sylvester would have loved it for his collection. He put the pebble on the rock. 突然间，驴爸爸看到了那一颗红色的小石头。哇，这个小石头真好看，他说。哇，我们的宝贝见了一定会把它收藏起来，他一定会非常喜欢它的。于是他就把这一颗红色的小石头放到了岩石上面。They sat down to eat. Sylvester was now as wide awake as a donkey that was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. You know, Father, she said suddenly,I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away. 这个时候，驴小弟虽然还是石头，却像驴子一样完全的清醒了。驴妈妈感到一种说不出的兴奋。她说：“小宝的爸爸，你知道吗？我有一个很奇怪的感觉，我觉得我们的儿子还活着，而且好像就在我们附近呢。” I am! Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't. If only he had realized that the pebble resting on his back was the magic pebble. 我就是，我还活着！驴小弟好想要大喊，但是他喊不出声音。要是他知道放在他背上的就是那一颗神奇的小石头，那该有多好啊！Oh, how I wish he were here with us on this lovely May day, said Mrs. Duncan. Mr. Duncan looked sadly at the ground. Don't you wish it too, Father? She said. He looked at her as if to say, How can you ask such a question? Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other. with great sorrow。 驴妈妈说，在这么可爱的5月天里，我真的好希望我们的小宝贝可以和我们在一起哦。小宝的爸，你是不是也是这样想的呢？驴爸爸瞧了他一眼，好像是在说，这还用你说吗？驴爸爸和驴妈妈伤心的互相看着对方。I wish I were myself again. I wish I were my real self again, thought Sylvester. And in less than an instant, he was. 驴小弟心里就想着，我希望变回原来的我，我希望变回真正的我。结果一眨眼的功夫，他真的就变回来了。You can imagine the scene that followed. The embraces, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, and the fond exclamations. 之后的情景你应该猜想得到吧？又是抱，又是亲，问了又问，答了又答，还有充满爱的眼光和欢喜的感叹。When they had eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Someday they might want to use it, but really, for now, what more could they wish for? They all had all that they wanted. 等大家的心情恢复了平静，回到家中后，驴爸爸就把那一颗神奇的小石头放进了铁打的保险箱里。也许有一天他们会用得到这一颗小石头，但是现在说真的，他们还会希望什么呢？他们已经有了他们想要的一切了。The end.